In the attic, tucked away among tattered old sweaters and outdated Christmas ornaments, I stumbled upon a leather-bound photo album that seemed to have recently been cared for. Unlike the dusty cardboard boxes, its cover was immaculate. My name's Maddie, and curiosity got the better of me despite my better judgment. Opening the album felt like being hit with a powerful realization. The very first page displayed Lindsay's high school graduation, her perfect sisterly smile, her flawless valedictorian speech, encapsulated in glossy photographs. As I turned each page, below each photo, I saw Mom's handwriting meticulously documenting a parade of achievements with an almost spiritual zeal. Grandma Edith appeared at the stairs, her gaze unwavering even at her age. Noticing her presence, I quickly closed the album, dust spiraling in the sunlit air. "Just some old photos," I said, fiddling to replace the album back into its nook. "Ah, Margaret's shrine to success," Grandma remarked with her usual acerbic tone reserved for Mom's parenting style. She advised me to go through the album because, at times, confronting the harsh reality is healthier than denial. Impelled, I reopened it. Page after page illustrated my sister's milestones. Alyssa's debut art exhibition, Lindsay's wedding, their graduations, pregnancies, lives so thoroughly archived and celebrated. "Notice anything absent?" Grandma queried, her voice smaller than I had expected. 17 years of you," she confirmed, referring to all my events left unrecorded, my dance recitals, honor roll accolades, even the captivating moment from my last school play. My throat constricted. "Is there another album?" I asked hopefully. "No, dear," Grandma replied, seating herself on a dusty trunk. "We both know there isn't." I continued flipping through the stark evidence of my insignificance. "Did you know about this?" I asked. "Discovered it last week while aiding your mother with cleaning." Proudly, she showcased all those pictures, oblivious to the real message. My fingers brushed over a photo of Lindsay's initial marketing award. "Everyone's coming tomorrow," Grandma informed, "for the family dinner to toast Alyssa's pregnancy." She paused knowingly. "And I suppose they will expect you to entertain Lindsay's children while they sip wine and reminisce." It was always a given. "There's a fine line between being generous and being exploited," Grandma added. "Your sisters learned to shine early on. Perhaps it's time for you to master saying no." "Mom will be upset," I muttered. "Possibly, but if it changes things, it's for the better," Grandma assured. I closed the album, but its invisible content lingered on my mind, years depicted as the dependable, but unseen child. "I got into that art school in New York," I revealed softly, "a full scholarship. No word to anyone yet." Grandma's eyes sparkled. "Now that's album-worthy news." Mom's plans involved me attending state school, nearby, practical. She'd even spoken to Lindsay about lining me up an internship. "And what do you want?" Grandma asked, a question hanging in a ray of dusty light. Below, I heard our mother, likely in the kitchen, devising tomorrow's schedule. I hesitated before speaking firmly. "I want my own damn page in the album." Grandma grinned with understanding. "Then you must start creating moments worthy of capturing," she suggested. I returned the album to its sanctuary, but something felt newly determined. Tomorrow they'd all arrive, expecting the same reliable Maddie, oblivious to my newfound resolve to rewrite my story. "See you at dinner?" I asked Grandma. "Wouldn't miss it," she replied with a wink. "Someone needs to be there to document change." Assisting her to her feet, we descended the attic stairs together. Suddenly, the house seemed to shift less of a home, more a stage, and for the first time, I was ready to play a new role. The anticipated family dinner began just as expected. Lindsay offloaded her children, twins Emma and Ethan, onto me while she joined Mom in the kitchen, her designer handbag swaying. "Just mind them for a minute, Maddie. Mom needs help with the roast," she instructed. Grandma Edith shot me a look from across the room, a silent nudge about our attic discussion. Summoning courage, I stood, gently dislodging the twins. "I have work to complete. My art portfolio needs to be finished," I announced. Lindsay paused, startled. "Since when?" "Art school?" she challenged. "Since I chose this," my voice steadied, though my nerves wavered. "My mom has plans for you to join me at work after school." "We talked about it." "You discussed," I corrected. "I wasn't included." In the adjacent kitchen, Mom and Alyssa's conversation turned to baby names. Dad likely hid away in his workshop, as was typical. "Don't be difficult, Maddie," Lindsay admonished. "This internship is a huge advantage, a chance not to be squandered." "Then offer it to someone else," I retorted simply. Her impeccably shaped eyebrows furrowed. "What's changed you?" "Nothing," I replied, moving toward the stairs. Just tasks to manage. Predictably, Lindsay called for Mom. Mom! Maddie's being impossible. The perpetual fallback when I refused my designated role to summon Mom to address the problem child. As Mom emerged from the kitchen, wiping hands on her apron, Lindsay urged her to persuade me. Lend a hand with the twins, Mom instructed. Your portfolio can wait. Can it? Like my recitals waited for Lindsay's business meeting or my art openings waited for Alyssa's gallery. I countered. That's not fair, Mom began, but I cut in. Show me the pictures, I asked. What pictures? Mom's voice wobbled. The ones from my events, I clarified. The album upstairs, the memories I'm absent from. Mom turned crimson, Lindsay bewildered. Silence filled the room until Grandma Edith's measured footsteps reached us. Darling, Grandma interjected, I think it's time for genuine conversation. The conversation took a tense turn when Mom snapped. There's nothing left to discuss. Maddie is just being oversensitive, and we need to focus on dinner. The roast could burn, Grandma interjected. This is more important. Just then Alyssa entered, one hand resting on her pregnant belly. What's happening? Lindsay chimed in. Your sister's throwing a tantrum. I corrected. No, I'm experiencing a revelation. There's a difference. I revealed my phone, displaying an email, an acceptance letter I both feared and eagerly wanted to share a full scholarship to the New York Academy of Arts, I said, starting this fall. The resulting silence was profound. New York? Mom whispered, but that's so far away and not a part of your plans. I pocketed my phone. Yes, it is. You can't be serious, Lindsay exclaimed. You're 17, you need. I interrupted. What I need is to be seen for who I truly am, not just as convenient childcare or background decoration in your perfect lives. Mom began to speak, but Grandma silenced her with a raised hand. Let her finish. I'm completing my portfolio tonight, I declared. Tomorrow I will photograph my own achievements, start my own album. You're welcome in it, but only if you're really there. I ascended upstairs, leaving their stunned silence in my wake. I heard the twins question Lindsay about why Aunt Maddie was upset, and even my flawless sister lacked an explanation. Upon reaching my room, I opened my laptop and immersed myself in my portfolio. From beneath the floor, I overheard the elevated voices of Mom and Lindsay arguing, with Alyssa attempting to mediate, and Grandma's sharp interjections. For the first time in years, I wasn't downstairs fostering calm. I was here creating art, making choices, making waves, and it felt absolutely right. Grandma Edith's house had an aroma of lavender and old books. I hadn't planned to visit her today, but after 3 days of Mom's silent treatment and Lindsay's passive-aggressive messages, I needed a sanctuary. Your mother called, Grandma mentioned, placing tea before me twice. Let me guess. I'm being unreasonable? Actually, she wanted me to talk sense into you regarding the money. I nearly dropped my cup. What money? Grandma settled into her armchair, a slight smile creeping on her lips. The college fund I've been saving for you since you were born. Your mother just found out. You've been saving for my college? Someone had to, she said, reaching for an envelope from the side table. Your sisters had their college funds from your parents, but I noticed the situation and began saving what I could. Trembling, I opened the envelope, revealing a bank statement with a balance that brought tears to my eyes. This explains why Lindsay's been bombarding my phone, I figured. She assumes she can pressure me into abandoning New York because she thought I'd need their financial help. Now she knows I don't. A knock on the door made us jump. Through the window, I noticed Lindsay's Mercedes parked outside. Speak of the devil, Grandma muttered. Want me to turn her away? No, I steadied myself. I need to manage this. Lindsay burst into before Grandma reached the door. Her pristine makeup couldn't conceal the fatigue beneath her eyes. This is utterly inappropriate, she announced, using Grandma this way, exploiting me. Grandma's voice turned icy. Child, sit down before you embarrass yourself further. Lindsay complied, though her legs jiggled with restless energy. Mom is devastated. Dad hasn't emerged from his workshop in days, and Alyssa's doctor is concerned about her blood pressure, which you'd know if you answered her calls. Don't guilt-trip me over Alyssa's pregnancy, I retorted. Not when you were the one who assured her I'd be available to help post-birth, because that's family duty. No, that's my role. You and Alyssa managed to have lives, careers, families, while I serve as the support system. We supported you significantly. Name one instance. Silence stretched. Grandma sipped her tea quietly. This isn't about support, Lindsay finally spoke. It's about your selfishness, fleeing to New York and deserting your family, like you abandoned your dreams. Words escaped me faster than I could halt them. Lindsay went ashen. What? You wanted to be a writer, remember? You'd narrate stories when I was young, but Mom and Dad deemed marketing more pragmatic, so you relinquished your dreams. Now you're successful but unhappy and can't bear that I'm making divergent choices. You know nothing about my life. I know you cry in your car post-family dinners. I know you detest your job, though you seek promotions tenaciously. You desire my compliance with your path to validate your decisions. Tears streamed down Lindsay's cheeks, ruining her mascara. That's not. I want to shield you from what? Happiness? Authenticity? From potential failure? She stood, fists clenched. Do you comprehend the immense difficulty of the art world? Many never succeed. At least your path offers security. A future resembling yours. I held her gaze, living someone else's version of triumph. The fight seemed to evaporate from her as she sank back into the seat, appearing smaller, reminiscent of the sister who used to share bedtime stories. I just wanted, she started, but stopped. A help, Grandma suggested, or to control. Lindsay wiped her tears, leaving black smears on her hands. Mom plans to sever your support, she warned. No car, no phone, no assistance if you proceed to New York. I looked at Grandma, who gave a slight nod. I don't need it, I replied. I was awarded a full scholarship and have Grandma's support and, most crucially, my own autonomy. I stood up. You used to narrate tales about brave girls confronting dragons, right? Perhaps it's my time to face mine. Lindsay stared at me momentarily, collected her purse with shaky hands, and at the door paused. The dragons, she softly added, in my narratives, they always triumph. No, I corrected her. You simply halted writing before reaching the conclusion. After she left, Grandma and I sat in silence, observing steam rise from our cups. Outside, Lindsay's car was stationary for several minutes before eventually driving off. Well, Grandma proclaimed, I believe that's termed a breakthrough. I wasn't certain if she referred to Lindsay or myself, perhaps both. Ad's workshop bore a scent of sawdust and dashed dreams. I encountered him sanding the same section of a cabinet he'd been meticulously crafting for months, his shoulders hunched, seemingly warding off the world. Your mother's crying again, he mentioned without glancing up. I know. Alyssa called, mentioned she might lose the baby due to stress. The guilt was palpable, but I steeled myself. That's unfair, Dad. He finally lifted his gaze, his eyes weary beyond the protective glasses. Life lacks fairness, Maddie. But it's about family, right? Is it? I picked up a wood shaving, letting it drift down, because from where I stand, family resembles sacrifice. Just not everyone's bearing it equally. He set aside his sandpaper, a rare gesture showing attentiveness. The conversation hung heavy in the workshop air, as if the sun itself had dimmed its light to witness the confrontation. You think I don't understand sacrifice? He asked, sanding away at a piece of wood as if by sheer will he could erase the tension in the room. I left my architecture career behind to support your mother's teaching ambitions, to be present for you and your sisters. And how's it been working out for you? I challenged, moving closer, my hand resting atop the finished cabinet. I came across my college essay, Dad, the one outlining my dream to pursue art. It was in the trash after Mom reviewed it. His eyes wavered slightly, a silent admission of guilt. She means well, he offered. She envisions what's best for this family, her version of it, just as when she persuaded Lindsay towards marketing instead of writing, or when she dismissed Alyssa's art as just a hobby until marriage. It's not only her doing, I retorted, meeting his gaze squarely. You observed as all this unfolded and chose the easier path of crafting furniture over standing up for us, your daughters. At that moment, the workshop door creaked open and Mom appeared, her face blotchy from tears. Gregory, make her see sense, she implored. She's discarding all we planned, much like you discarded my essay. The words slipped out before I could rein them in, leaving Mom shocked into stillness. Ad suddenly became overly engrossed in his sandpaper once more. I was safeguarding you, she defended weakly, to which I countered, no, you were safeguarding your narrative of the perfect family, your orchestrated world where everyone plays a designated role. Enough, Dad's firm voice cut through like a sharp breeze, pulling our attention back to him. Margaret, sit. Maddie, you too. We arranged ourselves, perched on his work stools, a charged triangle of underlying tension. Breaking the silence, I revealed, I received another letter today from the New York Academy. They wish to feature my portfolio in their incoming student exhibition. Mom attempted to be the voice of reason again, but Dad held up a hand. Let her speak. I continued, revealing the Academy's praises for my art, its emotional depth and technical promise pointing to a future in fine arts. Displaying the email on my phone for them, I confess, I wanted you to be the first to know, Mom, both of you, though I feared you'd find fault in it somehow. Mom's lips quivered, only for Dad to interject with his piercing question, but whose best interest is it really? Addie's? Or your vision of her? Gregory, she began defensively, but he forged ahead, years of silence giving way to truth. I've watched as you shaped Lindsay's aspirations until she forgot they had ever been hers. I stayed silent when you convinced Alyssa art was just a phase, but I'm done as a silent carpenter while you take apart our daughter's dreams. Hail, Mom halted. How dare you? He's right, I openly admitted, acknowledging the release those words brought. And the reason you resist so violently is the fear that my success might prove you wrong. Wrong about everything. I was never incorrect in wanting to shield you, she murmured. From what exactly? From being content? From being ourselves? Here, Dad said softly, lifting a small wooden box filled with newspaper cutouts, old sketches, report cards. Mine. I kept these. Things you thought no one noticed. Mom regarded the box as if it might explode, and in many ways it was about to. Standing tall, I declared, I'm heading to New York, and I'm done with guilt. I left them behind, Mom clinging to her fading certainties, Dad clutching his box brimming with unspoken pride. Unspoken but evident, truths floated in the dust mote, settling slowly. As I stepped onto the driveway, my phone buzzed with a text from Alyssa. We need to talk. The day had more in store for me. Alyssa's living space resembled the aftermath of an artistic chaos meeting baby preparations. Cross-legged amid the paints, bladdered cushions, cradling a tea mug, she wasted no time. You're destroying Mom, she accused without preamble. Strange, I remarked. She's worn the same shoes for me. This isn't something to jest about, Maddie. Her blood pressure is soaring. Dad's considering therapy, and my doctor stresses I must reduce any tension. Stepping over a pile of parenting guides, I deflected. Do not lay your pregnancy's complications at my feet. That's not it, she countered, her tone sharp. You're focused on orchestrating your grand exit. Her tone surprised me. The once easygoing peacemaker now seemed skinned to Lindsay, coached more. You recall when you dreamed of art school? I whispered, watching her expression react visibly. That was different, she evaded. Was it though? Or did Mom merely mold your belief that it was? I matured, Maddie, she sighed with resignation. Art became a pastime amid a need for pragmatism. Convinced, I inquire, lifting a current painting from the stack. Then why daily devotion to painting? Why turn your home into a studio? There's an exhibition next month, she revealed, but Mom calls it just a hobby show. Meanwhile, she lauds Lindsay's new position. Alyssa set her mug down with unsettling force, tea spilling. What do you expect of me, Maddie? I want you to admit your discontent with letting them snip your wings. You won't understand, not now while I cradle a budding family. Stability takes precedence. Racing the space, I grasped her art-covered hands. You need honesty concerning your desires. In a pregnant pause, she stood, surprising agile. I want unity and cessation of this turmoil you're brewing. Am I proving unworthy for existing beyond your molds? It changes everything, Allie. I've kept all your childhood sketches, she confessed. How you traced my strokes when small. You alone bolstered my resolve, and now you've surpassed me in talent. Subtle choking in her voice. You're to chase the dream I forfeited, chained here to paint nursery lullabies until convinced it's plenty. The unspoken truth suffocated, hanging like cigarette smoke. Unexpectedly, I appealed, join me. Bring your essence to New York Post, baby. Don't, she recoiled defensively. Just stop, please. Why hide? Is resentment less revealing than claiming you're trapped? It's impossible, she exhaled wearily before emotion erupted. Abandoning them isn't an option. Pleasing them ingrained. Not everyone's Maddie. Phone chirping. Lynn sought attention on Mom's latest crisis, but I ignored. Allie, the hardest truth is in knowing, tears pooling, how right you are, vindicating our twisted lives. Yet awareness evolves everything, like it or not. Uniting us in potential, I edged nearer, could be. Stiffening the walls, a new disassociation tore combine. Leave, Allie croaked against her belly. I can't juggle this duel. Parting with growing ache, I withdrew, knowing more lay ahead. Unraveling. Grandmotherly voice cut through the tension, thunderous and commanding. That's enough, she declared, eyes fierce as she glared at my sister. Earlier, Maddie shouted out as I turned around, when you get to New York. Her words held a promise of something extraordinary, something liberated for both of us. I checked my phone outside and saw 5 missed calls from Mom, 3 texts from Lindsay, and a single message from Dad. Your mother has called a family meeting tomorrow night, non-negotiable, it read. Here it was, the ultimate confrontation. Their final attempt to force me into an assigned role. My reply was a single word, no. I immediately called Grandma Edith, asking if she could help me pack my room the next day. Her answer was swift and supportive. About damn time. The sky was the same purple hue as the bruises on my heart, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of freedom and lightness. Let them have their meeting without their preferred scapegoat. Tomorrow I would say goodbye, as I had paintings to complete, wings to spread, and a life to reclaim. They ambushed me in the driveway. Mom, Dad, Lindsay, even Alyssa, arranged like a firing line as Grandma Edith and I arrived with boxes for my room. Family meeting, Mom stated, her voice steel wrapped in cotton. Grandma squeezed my hand, whispering a reminder. Remember, you don't owe them your dreams. Inside, the living room felt like a courtroom. My sisters flanked our parents on the couch, leaving me facing them alone, a classic Parker family dynamic. Everyone against one. This ends now, Mom began. This rebellion, this nonsense about New York. Lindsay interrupted, pulling out a folder, always the one in control. We found a solution that works for everyone, she asserted in her executive tone. A compromise. Art classes at the community college while interning at my firm. You can live at home, save money, and keep babysitting, she explained. Your kids? I added, unimpressed. Don't be difficult, Alyssa urged, though her eyes refused to meet mine. We're trying to help. No, you're trying to keep me trapped like you, I retorted. Mom leaned forward, her anger evident. That's enough. Your sister is offering you an opportunity to follow in her footsteps, just like I made her follow mine. I made my own choices, Lindsay snapped. Did you? Then why did I find your old notebooks full of stories hidden in Dad's workshop like a shameful secret? Lindsay turned pale. Dad shifted uncomfortably. This isn't about me, Lindsay insisted, yet her voice wavered. It's about all of us. I stood up, shaking but resolute. About how Mom orchestrates everyone's lives as if we're in her puppet show. About how Dad builds furniture instead of courage. About how you and Alyssa gave up your dreams and now can't stand that I'm fighting for mine. You ungrateful, Mom began. Dad stepped in. Margaret, he said softly. Let her speak. No, Mom shouted, standing. I won't let her destroy this family with her selfishness. You've destroyed it by ignoring my achievements, by making Lindsay choose safety over passion, by calling Alice's art a hobby. Mom's voice cracked. I gave you everything I never had. Opportunity, stability. Cages, I responded, the truth piercing her words. Beautiful, comfortable cages with the right labels, the perfect daughter, the responsible daughter, and me, the spare, there just in case. Silence fell like shattered glass. Then Lindsay stood, her corporate mask slipping. If you leave, you're cut off. No support, no backup plan. I don't need your money, I retorted, revealing my phone and the email, full scholarship plus Grandma's savings. I'm telling you, I'm leaving. Mom's voice was deadly quiet. Malign Parker, leave this house, and you are no longer family. The words struck me, but I remained standing. Funny, I replied, I never really was. Alice gasped. Margaret, think of what you're saying, Dad pleaded, but Mom wouldn't relent, tears streaming. Choose your family or your selfishness. I looked at each of them. Mom's anger, Dad's helpless concern, Lindsay's cracking facade, Alice's fearful pregnancy. I choose me. Turning toward the stairs, Lindsay grabbed my arm. Maddie, please. We need you. No, you need a scapegoat. Find someone else. You'll fail, Mom shouted as I moved upstairs. Maybe, I replied, at the staircase, but I'd rather fail at being myself than succeed as your puppet. In my room, the boxes waited to be packed, ready for escape. As I reached the first box, my hands shook. They were right about one thing. I was terrified. Terrified of failing, of succeeding, of being alone for the first time. But more frightening was the thought of staying, of crafting my own cage beside theirs. Grandma Edith stood sentinel in the driveway, voices rising and falling like waves below. I picked up a box, knowing burning bridges sometimes lights the way forward. The last box was in Grandma's car when Lindsay's Mercedes shrieked into the driveway, blocking our escape. She emerged like a warrior from the corporate world, clutching a manila envelope. One last chance, she proclaimed, striding over, thrusting the envelope at me. Your college fund started when you were born, nearly enough for 4 years at state. You mean your leverage, I corrected. Your future, she argued, desperation hidden beneath perfect makeup. practical future with strings, I countered. Family, she retorted. We support each other, we compromise. Though I cut her off, family isn't compromise. It's sacrifice, but only in one direction. She flinched but continued. Let's talk about sacrifice. Your art supplies, dance classes. That's not, I began. Did you know Dad kept my drawings? Caught off guard, she asked. What? In his workshop, like evidence of a crime. The same place he kept your stories. Her facade cracked further. Stop, she said. Why? Easier to bribe me than to face your dreams? I made my choices, she yelled. No, I challenged. Mom made them. You surrendered and now want me to do the same. She threw the envelope at me, papers scattering. Ungrateful little. Grandma Edith's voice thundered. Enough. Bursting through the tension, commanding authority. The sound in her voice was sharp, like a whip snapping, as she stepped out of her car holding something tightly. Show her, Meline, I prompted as I retrieved my phone and opened the email I'd been saving. Full scholarship plus an allowance for supplies. I acknowledged Grandma, who lifted a bank book she had. Grandma had been saving for me since my birth in an account Mom never knew about. Lindsay looked as if I had hit her. You organized all this? No, I replied. I just refused to let my dreams become another casualty of the Parker family. You'll fail, she whispered, but lacked sincerity. You'll end up alone. I already am alone, but now it'll be on my own terms. I shot back. Movement drew my attention. Dad stood in the doorway watching. Behind him, Mom was on the stairs, head in hands. Alyssa was nowhere in sight. Move your car, I repeated. Or what? She challenged. Or watch me leave without your carefully scripted goodbye. Her expression broke, the corporate facade shattering, the perfect sister image crumbling. I used to write about girls like you. Brave, free, she admitted softly before Mom convinced me it was childish. She nodded, tears streaking her makeup. It's not too late, I offered, to start writing again. It is, she said, digging for her keys. Some cages you build yourself. As she moved her car, Dad stepped forward. Addie, he began. I know, Dad, the workshop, the drawings. I should have, yes, you should have, he nodded, handing me a beautifully crafted small wooden box. Inside was my first crayon drawing, carefully preserved. For your new studio, he said quietly. Behind us, Mom sobbed from the house but didn't come out. I hugged Dad briefly, nodded to Lindsay, and got into Grandma's car. As we pulled away, I glimpsed my family one last time. Dad standing alone on the driveway, Lindsay frozen by her Mercedes, Mom's silhouette in the doorway. Ready? Grandma asked. I looked at the wooden box in my lap, then at the scattered college fund papers on the driveway. Lindsay's last attempt at control, now scattered by the wind. Yes. Sometimes revenge isn't about hurting others but saving yourself. We drove onto the main road, leaving the house, expectations, and the family duty cage behind. Ahead lay New York, freedom, and a blank canvas waiting for its first bold stroke. I didn't look back. The Academy's gallery viewing brought a surprising crowd. Among them, a familiar silhouette, Dad, standing before the centerpiece painting. 3 birds inside a gilded cage, one flying free while the others remained perched. I called it family portrait. You've captured your mother's eyes, Dad commented as I approached, pointing to the birds staying behind. I didn't think you'd come. Wouldn't miss it, he shrugged, motioning to the painting, though I suspect I'm the perch they're sitting on. The realization made us both wince. How is everyone? I inquired, more for formality than true curiosity. Your mother's in therapy. Finally, he mentioned, running a hand through graying hair. Lindsay's writing again, short stories after the kids are asleep. And Alyssa? A small, proud smile appeared. She turned her nursery mural into a full exhibition. Small gallery, but it's a start. Something in my chest eased slightly. And you? Sold the cabinet business. His gaze remained on the painting. Started teaching woodworking at the community center. Turns out I enjoy helping others build more than hiding behind things. A commotion at the entrance caught our attention. Grandma Edith had arrived, commanding the room. Several classmates flocked to her, drawn to her sharp wit and insights. She's proud of you, Dad said. We all are, even if we're still learning how to show it. Dad, no, let me finish, he insisted. You were right about everything. The cage, the compliance, the cowardice. But wrong about one thing. What's that? I asked. He pointed to the flying bird in my painting. Freedom isn't just about escape. Sometimes it's about showing others the door is open. Before I could reply, my faculty advisor beckoned me to meet a prominent gallery owner. When I turned back, Dad had moved to another piece, a small sketch of his workshop, light fallen just on his tools. iPhone buzz. A message from Alyssa. Baby's here. Aimed her Eden for freedom and new beginnings. Thought you'd appreciate the symbolism, artist. Another message followed. She has your eyes and your stubbornness. Refused to follow the birth plan, did it her own way. I smiled in reply. Good for her. Grandma finally reached me, eyes alight with pride. Quite a statement piece. She nodded at the family portrait. Though you might need to update it. Why's that? Your sister's bird seems to be testing its wings. She handed me a literary magazine showing a short story by L. Parker. Lindsay's pen name. Baby steps, she said, squeezing my arm. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't flying away. It's showing others how to spread their wings. The gallery owner waited, but I paused to survey the room. Dad studying my artwork with new understanding, Grandma holding court among peers, the absence of Mom and my sisters. iPhone buzzed once more. Messages from Lindsay. Read your interview in the student paper. You're right about everything. Sorry it took me so long to see it. Not asking for forgiveness, just wanted you to know. I slipped the phone away, unanswered. Some conversations needed time, like paint needing to dry. The gallery owner admired my technique, vision, and courage tackling difficult themes, though I focused on Dad, who discreetly added something to the visitor's book. After everyone left, I checked inside and found a photograph of me at 5, covered in paint, proudly holding my first artwork. On the back, Dad's careful handwriting read, "The day you started flying." I added it to the exhibition next to the family portrait, a beginning alongside an ending, or perhaps both beginnings, depending on perception. Outside, New York's lights painted the sky with possibilities. Somewhere back home, Alyssa was with her rebellious daughter. Lindsay continued writing. Mom faced her demons. Dad built anew, and I stood where I longed to be, free, creating and lighting the path for others out of their own cages. Sometimes, the best revenge is living well enough to set everyone free.